Homeschooling Adventures. My name is P. Jerauni, and in today's video we are going to be looking at elasticity of demand. Okay, now just to start with the video, we would want to just check. These are the things that you are expected to understand. Okay, you must be able to explain or define what price elasticity of demand is. You must be able to calculate the price elasticity using the formulas for price elasticity. You must also be able to understand the different types of price elasticity of demands that we have, and you must also be able to look at the factors or give us the factors that determine the different price elasticities. Okay, now if you look on the other side, you also find that this can come also as a possible essay. In other words, you can actually see that it's written, discuss in detail the price elasticity of demand in the aid of graphs. So it means this is a possible essay question. Okay, so let's just start by defining what is meant by price elasticity of demand. Now, when we talk about price elasticity of demand, we are saying this is the responsiveness of quantity demanded to a change in price. In other words, the price elasticity of demand looks at the extent of change in the quantity that is going to be demanded resulting from a change in price. In other words, when we increase the price, to what extent is it going to affect the quantity of goods and services that are going to be demanded? We now know that the law of demand, the demand theory, it states that at high prices consumers they demand less, and at low prices consumers they demand more. But we are saying with our price elasticity, to what extent is the quantity demanded going to change relative to price? Okay, so that's what we mean when we say price elasticity of demand. And then there are a number of factors that determine the price elasticity of demand. But for the purposes of this particular video, we are just going to be looking at 4 factors that influence price elasticity of demand. The first factor that influences the price elasticity of demand is what is called the nature of the product. Okay, the nature of the products that we are talking about. Okay, you would now agree with me that different products have different levels of elasticities. For example, if we have medication, for example, it tends to be inelastic. Okay, if we have products that are like groceries, okay, or basic necessities, these are goods that even if the price increases, their demand is going to remain unchanged. Why? Because these are goods that are important for our day-to-day living. Okay, and then we also have other products like we are looking at luxurious products. Now these are products that should the price increase slightly, then people are going to stop buying the product and they will rather delay the consumption of such products. Okay, like in the case of comfort goods like a washing machine or a dishwasher. Okay, so this is what we are saying. The nature of a product determines the elasticity of that particular product. If a product is an essential product, then it tends to have a relatively inelastic demand compared to luxurious products. Okay, then we also have the second factor that influences the elasticity of demand, which is what is called the availability of close substitutes. Okay, now you do now understand that you recall that we defined substitutes as those goods that are used in place that can be used to replace each other. In other words, substitute goods are those goods that can be used to replace each other. In other words, these products, they tend to serve the same purpose, and should the price of good A increase, then it means the demand for good B is going to also increase. Okay, so we are saying substitute goods. Okay, the availability of substitutes is also what is going to determine the elasticity of a product in this way. Should the price, if we have a product that have two substitutes, or we have a product that has close substitutes, okay? For example, red meat and white meat. So if a price for red meat just increases slightly by a small percentage, we are going to have the demand for white meat increasing now, and the demand for that red meat is going to go down as people will stop buying red meat as they buy white meat. So this is what we are saying. The availability of close substitutes is also a factor that influences the price elasticity of demand, with those products that have close substitutes tending to have a relatively elastic demand. Okay, they tend to be faced by a relatively elastic demand. Okay, and then we also have the other one, which is the price level. Now when we talk about price level, we are saying the general price of products also determines the elasticity of that particular product. For example, if we look at a price of a house, okay, most houses now as we speak, they are ranging around 500,000 to 5 million, okay, for example. Okay, now if the price, for example, let's say the house is going for 500,000, and then they realize that the people are not buying, and then the price is reduced by 20%, which means now the price is reduced by 100,000. Now the price of houses is now 400,000. It does not necessarily mean that people are going to buy more, because even at 400,000, it's still expensive for the majority of the citizens. So it will not necessarily entail an increase in the demand for that particular product because the price is reduced, because this product that we are looking at, its general price level is higher. Okay, so even if it's reduced by 20%, you will find that the demand might just increase maybe by just 1%, if ever there is going to be any change in demand. So we see that these products that are a bit expensive and pricey, they tend to have a relatively inelastic demand. Okay, so the price level, this is different with if we compare this to other products like maybe sweets, for example. Okay, if the price of sweets just reduces just slightly, then people will tend to buy more. If the price of sweets just increase just slightly, then people might buy the opposite, the substitutes. So we are saying the price of these products like sweets, because it's relatively lower, okay, it would mean that it tends to have a more elastic demand compared to the demand for houses, which we said is relatively inelastic. Okay, then we also have the last factor that we are going to look at that determines the elasticity of demand, which is called the income level. Now, the general income level of the people that are in a community or in an economy is going to determine the elasticity. Okay, and then you would also find that in poorer communities, people, they generally tend to demand more of the inferior products. Okay, whilst in richer communities, the people, they tend to demand superior products. Okay, now if the income of people changes, maybe through government policy, maybe the government decides to increase on taxation. If they decide to increase on taxation, it's going to reduce on the people's disposable income. And what that would now mean is, it will mean that the demand for superior products is going to go down, and the people are going to buy more inferior products. Why? Because their income level is reduced. Okay, if the government does the opposite and maybe they reduce on taxation, okay, it would now mean that the income levels are going to increase. The disposable income is going to increase. If disposable income increases, then it means people will have more money to go and spend, and the first thing that they will do is they will go and demand the superior product. So it means the income levels is also going to determine whether people are going to buy superior products or inferior products, and it's one factor that is going to influence the elasticity of a product. Whether people are going to buy inferior products, then it means we are going to have the elasticity of superior products changing. Okay, maybe just because of a slight change in income level, then we might have a bigger change in the quantity that is going to be demanded. If that so happens, then we are saying we have a relatively elastic demand. Okay, so these are the four factors that determine elasticity of various products. We are saying we have the nature of the product. Okay, we also have the availability of close substitutes. We also have the price level of that particular products, and then we also have the income level in the economy. Okay, so these are the factors that determine. Now the next thing now that we need to look at is we now need to look at how we calculate our price elasticity of demand. Okay, now when we are calculating price elasticity of demand, dear learners, you need to appreciate that price elasticity of demand is calculated by saying, I'll just say P E D is equal to the price elasticity of demand is calculated as follows. We have what is called percentage change in quantity demanded divided by our percentage change in price. Okay, remember from our definition we said price elasticity of demand looks at the responsiveness of quantity demanded to a change in price. So it means we are expressing quantity demanded to a change in price. We are expressing quantity demanded to a change in price. Okay, so this is what we are saying now. So we are saying it's a percentage change in quantity demanded divided by our percentage change in price. And then you would now agree, you would now wonder, or you will now be asking yourself that how then do we calculate percentage change? Now the answer to that is very simple. Now for us to be able to calculate our percentage change, we are saying percentage change. Okay, remember delta in economics, it represents change. Okay, so when calculating our percentage change, we are saying new value, okay, new value minus the old value, okay, divided by the old value, okay, and then we are going to multiply that by 100. Okay, so we are going to say new value minus old value divided by old value multiplied by 100, and your answer is going to be a percentage change, which means now if you are calculating percentage change, for example, percentage change for quantity demanded, if you are calculating percentage change for quantity demanded, this one here, what you are going to do is you are going to say new quantity minus old quantity divided by old quantity times 100. And then when you calculate percentage change in price, when you are calculating this one, then it would mean that you are going to say new price minus old price divided by old price times 100. So this is how you are going to calculate your percentage changes. So it can, you would also find that in other books, they also tend to give you a more complicated formula where they say it's a new, okay, but you just need to understand that it's still the same. Okay, it's still the same, new quantity minus old quantity, okay, divided by old quantity, okay, times 100, okay, and all this is being divided by new price minus old price divided by old price times 100. Okay, so you will find that all this is being divided by all this. Okay, so it's still the same formula. You will now need to note that this new price minus old price divided by old price times 100. What they are calculating there is they are calculating this percentage change in price. Okay, and then with this new quantity minus old quantity divided by old quantity times 100, what they are simply doing in this whole bracket is they are calculating percentage change in quantity demanded. So it's still the same thing. Okay, so this is what how we calculate our elasticity. Okay, so this is the formula that we need to know when calculating our elasticity. What is the formula again? Is percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. Okay, then we do it. When you have applied that formula, you are going to end up coming or realizing that you are going to find different types of elasticities. So I will just give the next page so that we can be able to understand the different types of elasticities that we are going to have. Okay, how we calculate the formula, how we apply the formula for elasticities. Now in this particular part, we are going to be looking at what we get when we have applied the formula. Now when you have applied the formula, you are going to get something that is called a coefficient. You are going to get something that is called a coefficient. Okay, now the coefficient is the one that is going to give us the different levels of elasticities that we have. Okay, so we get what is called a coefficient. Okay, you get what is called a coefficient. Now your coefficient, it would mean that when you have applied the formula, now you can either get a value that is between 1 and infinite. You can get a value that is between 1 and infinite. Okay, if you get a value that is between 1 and infinite, then we are saying that shows that product that you are calculating is what is called relatively elastic. It means that product is relatively elastic. Relatively elastic. And normally such products that are said to be relatively elastic, that normally give us this kind of elasticity, are products that have closed substitutes. Okay, so it means that product probably has closed substitutes. And products that we have looked in our example, we have looked at products like white meat and red meat. Okay, so it means we are bound to get a value. If we are calculating for white meat and red meat, we are going to get probably a value that is between 1 and infinite. Our coefficient value is going to be between 1 and infinite. Then we say that is relatively elastic. In other words, we are saying a small change in price is going to result in a bigger change in the quantity of goods and services that are going to be demanded. Okay, so that only happens if this product has a closed substitute. Okay, and then you can also apply the formula, and then you get a value that is between 0 and 1. Okay, if you apply the formula that we had previously and you get a value that is between 0 and 1, then what it means is this is relatively inelastic. In other words, this is inelastic demand. Okay, this is a relatively inelastic demand. In other words, this normally happens when we are dealing with the products that are necessities or that are essentials. We are saying whether the price increases, people are not going to change on the quantity of goods and services that they are going to demand. And normally these products that are necessities, we are looking at things like food. Okay, those are the products that normally give us a relatively inelastic demand, because whether the price of food goes up or goes down, people will still continue to buy. Okay, so it would now mean that these products are going to be relatively inelastic. When we calculate the inefficient, it should be between 0 and 1. Okay, and then if we calculate our inefficient and with our coefficient, and then we get the value of 1, then it means this is unitary. It means there it's faced with what is called unitary elasticity or unit elasticity. Okay, it's called unit elasticity or unitary elasticity. Okay, normally these products, what it means is a change in price results in an equal change in the quantity of goods and services that are going to be demanded, and this products that give us such a kind of elasticity are products that are called non-essential goods. These are non-essential goods. These are non-essential goods. They give us unitary elasticity. Okay, then you can also calculate and get a value that is 0. If you calculate your coefficient and you get your value as 0, then what it means now is we are saying these products here, they are said to be perfectly inelastic. They are said to be perfectly inelastic. In other words, these products, whether the price changes, increases or decreases, there is no direct effect on the quantity of goods and services that are going to be demanded. And can you think of such products that give us such an elasticity, where the change in quantity demanded has nothing to do with the change in price? Okay, so just think of a product that gives us this kind of elasticity. Okay, now I want to believe that we said that it's perfectly inelastic, so I'm just going to give you a inelastic. Think of a product that gives us such a type of elasticity, where a change in the price has no bearing on the quantity of goods that are going to be bought. Okay, can you think of any example of such? All right, well done. I want to believe that you have given me the example of medication. Okay, medicine. Normally medicine does not really have a change. Whether the price of medication goes up or it goes down, people will continue to take those particular quantities that they are supposed to be taking. For example, products like insulin, for example. Okay, if the price of insulin goes up, the people who depend on it, they will still buy the required dosages, because that's what they need for them to continue with their normal lives. Okay, and if the price of insulin goes down, then people are not going to buy more insulin because the price has gone down. Actually, people will continue to buy the same quantities of insulin because the dosage that they are going to be taking is still the same. So such products, they are said to be perfectly inelastic. It means the change in price has no bearing on the quantity of goods of in this case of insulin that is going to be demanded. Okay, so those products are said to be perfectly inelastic. And then you can calculate and you find that your value is infinite. Okay, if you calculate and then you find that the coefficient value that you have is infinite, then it means this product is perfectly elastic. This product is said to be perfectly elastic. Okay, can you think of such products where a small change in price is going to result in a big drop a big drop off in the quantity of goods and services that we are going to sell or that is going to be demanded. And sometimes it can even result into us selling zero quantities of goods because we have increased the price. Can you think of such products? Okay, I will give you a few seconds to think of such products. Yes, well done. You have spoken of CDs. They tend to give us the perfectly elastic demand, a CD. Okay, because if we have a slight increase in the price, okay, of CDs, people are going to stop buying the CDs and they will just go to the internet and download the music and play from their phones. Okay, so it would now mean that CDs, they tend to be perfectly elastic. Okay, so these are the values that you are going to get. So you are going to calculate when you apply the formula that I gave you in the previous slide. You will find that you get either a value that is between 1 and infinite. If you get a value that is greater than 1 but less than infinite, then we are saying that is relatively elastic. If you calculate and you get a value that is between 0, which is greater than 0 but less than 1, if you calculate and you get a value that is greater than 0 but less than 1, values like 0.1 or those values, but is less than 1, okay, right, it means that product that you are calculating is inelastic. It's a relatively inelastic product. And then if you calculate and you get your value to be 1, when you calculate and you get your value as 1, then we said that product is unitary elasticity. In other words, the change in price is going to result in an equal change in the quantity of goods and services that are demanded. And the businesses, normally, if they are faced with unitary elasticity, they would now know that a change in price, if we reduce the price, is not going to result in any increase in total revenue. Why? Because we are still going to have people buying an increase. If we reduce the price by half, then it means people are going to double on the quantity of goods that they are going to buy. So you will find that our total revenue is still going to remain unchanged. Okay, then it means now, so it would now mean that as a business, if you have as a unitary elasticity, then it would now mean that you cannot increase your total revenue by altering the prices. Okay, so now you now need to look at other measures that you can put in place to try and boost on your sales. Okay, then you would also find that there are certain products that you can charge any price, and we said these products, they are medication. You can charge any price. Your quantity that is demanded is not going to change. Okay, and normally these products here, they tend to give us a graph that is a demand curve that is vertical. They give us a demand curve that is like this. This is the demand curve that they will give us. Okay, this side, remember, is our quantity, and then this side, remember, it's our price. So it means with this particular type of elasticity, you can charge any price, maybe P1 or P2 or P3. The quantity of goods that is going to be demanded will remain at Q. So this is what we have when we say this is perfectly inelastic. Okay, and then if we say the product is perfectly inelastic, then you do now recall from our dynamics of perfect markets that we said products that are perfectly inelastic, if this is my price and this one is my quantity, you are going to find that the demand curve is going to be a horizontal demand curve. Okay, like that. I think we looked at it in the previous videos when we were looking at dynamics of perfect markets. Okay, so this is the graph for perfectly elastic demand, and this is the graph for perfectly inelastic demand. Okay, then everything else is very simple. Okay, so let's just turn to the question and look at the application of the concepts that we have learned today. Okay, so now we have a question that we are sharing there on the screen, and then you can actually see that it reads study the graph below and answer the questions that follow. So we have price elasticity of demand, and then you can see that there's price there's a P1 P there, and it shows an increase in price from P to P1, and then the quantity did not change, the quantity remained a Q. So the moment you see that, what does this mean? It means this one is perfectly inelastic. This one is perfectly inelastic. It's perfectly inelastic. Why are we saying it's perfectly inelastic? Because the supplier can charge any price. Okay, the quantity of goods that is going to be demanded is not going to change. So this one is perfectly inelastic. Okay, so it means what kind of products give us this kind of a graph? Remember, we have products like medication. You are right. Okay, perfectly inelastic. So it means this graph here is the one that is indicating perfectly inelastic. Why are we saying so? Because the quantity has remained Q, and they have increased the price. When the price was P, the people demanded Q. When the price increased to P1, the people still demanded Q. So it means if you are offering such a product, you can the company can actually increase its total revenue by increasing prices, because the people are still going to buy those products. Okay, all right. Yeah, then that's perfectly inelastic on this graph here. And then we said, remember, our graph is vertical, our demand curve is vertical. Okay, right. Then we go to the other side. The other side, we see it was 5 rand, price increased to 5 rand 50, and then the quantity at 5 rand it was 600, and then at 5 rand 50 the quantity has gone down to 480. Okay, all right. So it would mean that this is maybe relatively elastic. Why? Because you will find that the gap that we have between 5 and 5 rand 50 is smaller than this gap that we have here. So it means a small change in price has resulted in a big change in the quantity demanded. A small increase in price has resulted in a big drop in the quantity of goods and services that are going to be demanded. And this would mean that this graph is relatively elastic. So this graph here is relatively elastic, elastic. Okay, I'll just write the elastic. Okay, remember, we are still studying the graph. I'm not answering. I don't know what they are going to ask about, but remember, when you are given a question paper in the exam, you must study this graph. You must study the graphs before you answer those questions. Okay, start by studying the graph first. Make sense of the graph. So we have this one that is illustrating relatively elastic, and this one that is illustrating perfectly inelastic. Okay, and such products that give us a relatively elastic, we said we have those products that have close substitutes, products like red meat and white meat. Okay, according to my example earlier on. All right, so let's go to the questions then and ask and answer the questions. The questions say, which picture represents perfectly inelastic? Represents perfectly inelastic. Okay, perfectly inelastic. Okay, so which picture here is going to represent perfectly inelastic? It would mean that it's picture A. That's where we have perfectly inelastic demand. Okay, so if your answer was picture A, then you can mark it correct. Okay, so it means here it's picture A. Okay, that's picture A there. Okay, that's where the picture that is going to represent perfectly an inelastic demand. Okay, then the next one, explain elasticity of demand in full. So when we talk about elasticity of demand, we are saying this is the responsiveness of quantity demanded to a change in price. It's the rate of responsiveness of quantity demanded to a change in price, or the change in quantity demanded resulting from a change in price. Okay, so we are saying there should be a change in quantity demanded, in demand, as a result of a change in price. Okay, so if you have written that change in demand as a result of a change in price, then that will be correct. Okay, then why is the change in quantity demanded larger than the change in the price in picture B? Okay, this is to illustrate that this product that we have here is relatively elastic. It shows that this product here is relatively elastic. And then why is that so? It is so because it's a small change in price has resulted in a big change in the quantity demanded. And what this shows is, it shows that this product here has close substitutes. In other words, if the moment we increase our price slightly, there's going to be a big drop in the quantity of goods that are going to be demanded as people buy the alternatives. Okay, so the question here says why. So what you are supposed to do is you are supposed to give a reason why, okay, the quantity demanded is larger than the change in price. And the reason why is because this product here is a relatively elastic product, and it would now mean that this could be as a result of the availability of close substitutes, resulting in a slight change in price, resulting in a bigger drop in the quantity of goods and services that are going to be demanded. But out of record, let's just try to see what was going to happen if this increase in price is going to result in any benefit to the products that to the government, to the total revenue that is going to be made by the company. Okay, so I'm just going to pause the video. I want you to calculate the total revenue in the coming few minutes, and then let's see, you calculate the old revenue, 5 rand times 3 times 600. Okay, and then the next one, 5 rand 50 times 480, and let's see if there was any benefit that was enjoyed as a result of this price change. Okay, now I want to believe that you have calculated and you have noticed. Let's just see what was going to happen to the total revenue. It would mean that our total revenue at first, okay, at first our total revenue, it was 5 rands and 600. So they were selling 600 at 5 rands. So it means it was a 5 times 600. 5 times 600. If you do that, your total revenue that this company was making was a 3,000. Okay, it was making 3,000 before the increase in price. Now let's see what was what happened after the price. After the price has increased, it became 5 rand 50. After the price had increased, it became 5 rand 50. Okay, and then we are going to multiply that. They are selling 480 at 5 rand 50. They are now selling 480 units. So you will find, if we have done that, if you multiply this, punch it on your calculator, you are going to notice that your answer is 2,640. Okay, 2,640. 40. So you would now agree with me that after increasing the price, the company has actually lost, or the business has actually lost on about 360, because before the price increase they were getting 3,000. Now after the price increase, now they are getting a total revenue of 2,640. So in such case, what has happened here? It is because people now are buying the alternative. Okay, but this one was not required by the question. I was just trying to illustrate what we mean when we look at elasticity and the price elasticity, and we are saying this product is relatively elastic. It would mean that we are going to lose on sales. The company, by doing this, company is actually going to lose on sales. Okay, right. But that was not what was required by the question. So in this case, you were just supposed to give a reason. Okay, right. Then we go to the next part. It's calculate the price elasticity. It says calculate the price elasticity of demand for picture B. So you are supposed to calculate for picture B, and in your calculations you are required that you show all the calculations. Okay, so what we are supposed to do now is, our question is 2.2.4. okay, that's the question that we are asking. 2.2.4, that's the one that we are doing now. So we are saying the price elasticity of demand. Remember, we said it's a percentage change in quantity demanded. Our PED, it means we said it's percentage change in quantity demanded divided by our percentage change in price. Okay, then we are now going to go and apply this. We are now saying our percentage change in quantity demanded. So we are saying percentage change in quantity. We said it's new price minus old price divided by old price. So the a new quantity, which is 480, that's our new quantity, because it has decreased from 600 to 480. So our new quantity is now 480. So it means it's 480, okay, minus our old quantity, which is 600, okay, divided by our old quantity, which is 600, and then we multiply this by 100. Okay, if you do that, your answer, if you punch it, this one is 120. It's a minus 120 here, because 480 minus 600, that's a minus 120 divided by 600, that's a 50, so that's 20%. So it means this one is a negative 20%. It's a negative 20%. Okay, and then that's our percentage change in quantity demanded. Now let's do our percentage change in price, so that we can be able to apply our formula for price elasticity. Percentage change in price, we are going to say new price, which is 5 rand 50. Okay, new price, which is 5 rands 50, minus old price, which is 5 rands, divided by old price, which is 5 rands. Okay, and then we are going to multiply that by our 100. Okay, and then if you do that, your answer, this is 50 cents. It's a positive 50 cents, because that's 5 rand 50 minus 5 rands, that's 50 cents divided by 5. So it means it's 10%. If you do that on your calculator, that's a 10%. Okay, so that's a percentage change in our price. Okay, so our percentage change in price is 10%, our percentage change in quantity is 20%. So we now go and we apply our formula, this for price elasticity. Okay, so it means now on our formula for price elasticity, it is now going to be PD is percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. So our percentage change in quantity demanded, so we are saying now our P E D is going to be equal to negative 20%, negative 20% divided by, which is our quantity demanded, our percentage change for quantity. Okay, it's 20% divided by our 10%, which is a percentage change in price. If you do that and you punch it on your calculator, your answer that you are going to get is going to be a negative 2. Okay, now this negative 2, this negative here, we ignore it, because what it is only signifying or confirming is, it's confirming that this is a price elasticity of demand. Okay, because we now know that our demand curve is a negative slope. In other words, it's a negative. When price increases, quantity demanded reduces, so they are negatives. Okay, they oppose each other. Okay, so what it means now is when you calculate your price elasticity, this negative sign, this sign that we see here, you ignore it. You only look at the coefficient, okay, which our coefficient in this case is 2. So it means it's the value of 2. Then now you now go and you check now, what does 2, where does 2 fit? Does it fit between 0 and 1? Or it fits below, or it is equal to 0? Or it is equal to 1, or it fits between 1 and infinite? Yes, you got it right. We said we ignore this negative, so it means this is fitting between 1 and infinite. 2 is between 1 and infinite, is greater than 1 but less than infinite. So our 2 here, it confirms that this is a relatively elastic demand. Okay, so this coefficient indicates or confirms that this is a relatively elastic demand. Okay, so this is how you were supposed to calculate. Okay, so what did we learn? Remember, when we are calculating our price elasticity of demand, we are supposed to look at percentage changes. And how do we calculate percentage changes? You say new price minus old price divided by old price, and then you multiply that by 100. That's a percentage change in price. If it is quantity, it's new quantity minus old quantity divided by old quantity times 100. Then that's how you get your percentage change in the quantity that is demanded. We have also looked at the factors that influence the price elasticity of demand, and we noted that there is the nature of the products, the price of the product. We have also noted the income levels of the citizens, and we have also noted the availability of clause substitutes. Okay, so this is all that you needed to know on price elasticity of demand. Okay, if you like the video, click the like button, and please remember to subscribe to the channel. All the best in your studies. I'm out.